no balls fall. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Count with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good. Hang on a minute. Oh, there we go. Boomtown Thursday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports, right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Game 5, Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Is that why the birds are chirping so much louder and the sun is shining so much brighter today in Oklahoma? No. It's probably not that. It must be the World Cup starting this afternoon in Mexico. Is that it? No, I don't think that's it either.
No.
We are going to get Jared's thoughts on the Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech. I mean, I'm so glad that we ran out of time yesterday because now we can dissect the Kirby Hocutt statement. Did you read that he released about midday yesterday?
I scanned through it, yeah.
So we got that added to it.
It was hard to read with my eyes rolling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, he's in a horrible spot. Because let's just be real honest here. He ain't calling the shots at Texas Tech.
No.
There's only one fella calling the shots at Texas Tech, and he's got $4 billion. Is there anything comparable to this in, you know, like different things that have happened? I mean, right here in the state of Oklahoma, there's a few that have been brought up. Whose job is it to fix this? I've got an idea when we get to that. We were going to start with that, but how can we do anything else but what we saw last night? Or maybe what we didn't see last night and had to go back and watch. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. Tell us if you gave up. Did you give up on the NBA Finals Game 4 last night and wake up to a shocker? 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. If you're going to be outside the listening area one of these days, a couple of ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com, or you can download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. Brand new edition of the Penny News is out everywhere. Go pick up a free copy of the Penny News. Of course, playitlive.net. Check out all the action out at the Five Plexes, Ackley Park. Going to be going to be some playoff softball and baseball coming up there at the Five Plex. So go check that out. If you can't make it and you want to watch, playitlive.net is where you need to go. Skinny on Sports podcast available anywhere podcasts drop. How are you today, Jared Atha?
I'm good. How are you?
Did you give up?
Of course I gave up.
When?
About halftime. About when that thing kept getting inflated through the second quarter. What was it, 26 points?
27.
27 at half. I thought, this is done. So I just focused on some yard work and just, you know, something different. I found a nice documentary series on the History Channel about World War II. I mean, I was just, and then I'd glance at it. It wasn't until when I settled down in my chair, at this point it had to have been around the fourth quarter. Obviously it was. And Allie was in the bedroom, and I hear her just screaming at the TV. And I thought, 'cause I've heard these screams before, and these are basketballs. So she's like, get the pod! And I was like, oh, she's watching Game 4. But why is she watching Game 4? It's a blowout. Because I didn't even stop checking the score on my phone. I was more concerned about the Rangers-Royals score than that score last night. But I heard her, so I switched it to the game, and the rest is history.
I never switched it.
You stuck with it.
No. I was this, and I mean, as close as you can be. I almost turned it off a minute in. When they overturned that call on Cat.
When they called it an offense.
They called it offensive foul.
That's where
I almost turned it off and went, well, the script has been written.
I was getting the text like, they're protecting him again.
I stayed through the double goaltendings on back-to-back possessions.
Oh, how ridiculous was that?
I stayed through the first quarter. And I'm glad I stayed long enough to see Mitchell Robinson at least do something to the guy. I mean, was it dirty? I really thought he was going to get kicked out of the game, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be a flagrant two on Mitchell Robinson when he, just elbowed him right in the throat.
Yeah.
After Wemby was pointing at his head. And that was one of the turning points in the game. Wemby pointing at his head. Because until that point, he was 5 for 7 for 13 points in a quarter. And the last 3 quarters, he was 4 of 18 for 11. It's like that. Then, of course, he gets another plate. But I absolutely did. And then, of course, had to go back and watch to figure out how in the world did that just happen. I tell you, there's so many things to unpack about what happened last night. You know who I feel the worst for today? Of all the people in the world. I feel the worst for the people that had over the Spurs total, which was 107.5. Just the Spurs score.
Yeah. When
it was 76 points in the first half. I mean, you are cashing that check, baby.
Oh, yeah.
76-49 at halftime. And they score 30 points in the second half. 14 in the third quarter, 16 in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks complete the largest comeback in the history of NBA Finals play. How did it happen?
I think now watching highlights and hearing other people talk about the game, because like I said, I didn't watch all of it because we turned it. It sounded like Spurs kind of went into a shell and were taking a lot of bad shots. And it definitely helps when the Knicks were hitting key shots, especially down the stretch, to get it within single digits and hitting big threes and Brunson doing what he does. But on the other side, though, I mean, the blame clearly goes heavily. I mean, it helps when the other team is hitting those shots like it, but you need help to get back out of it. You need help from the other team to miss shots or to do something silly. But it just felt like they just kind of got complacent and they were just taking bad shots. And the Knicks took advantage of that.
Yeah, the number that supports that from Michael Wilbon was talking about this after the game. The Spurs 14 of 26 from 3 in the first half. They were 3 of 17 in the second half. But even more importantly than that, of those 17 shots, of the 17 threes they took in the second half, 12 of them came with at least 10 seconds on the shot clock, if not more. And they made 1. They were 1 for 12 in the second half, shooting threes with more than 10 seconds on the shot clock. And yeah, I get, there's a lot of talk. I think it's just natural to pile on the team that blew it, as opposed to give the team credit that came back and won it. But the truth of the matter is, both things have to happen in order for something like that to happen. The Spurs have to do a bunch of dumb stuff, but the Knicks have to take advantage of them doing a bunch of dumb stuff and opening that door a little bit for them with, and this has been a pretty crazy series because through 4 games, it could literally be anything. The Knicks could have swept the Spurs. The Spurs could have swept the Knicks. It could be 3-1 either way. It could be 2-2 either way. Mitch Johnson, I thought a bunch of mistakes that he made, allowing a 20-4 run before he ever called a timeout in the second half.
Yeah,
playing Wemby. He played all but 57 seconds in the second half. Why? You're up 20. Just in case, sit him down. And
right.
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
He was clearly gassed toward the end of the game. And, playing 44 minutes in a game that the San Antonio Spurs were ahead by 29 in the second half is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And I think it came back to bite him. There's a lot to talk about De'Aaron Fox's play. With about 15 seconds left, the ball shoots into the backcourt. He goes and picks it up. Instead of kind of running some clock and getting fouled, he takes it up, and Anunoby comes out of nowhere. LeBron-esque block, like that chase down block on Iguodala, very similar as far as the situation and ultimately the outcome was very, very similar. And I think it's hilarious to go through, the timeline on Twitter and, the people that watch the NBA and comment on the NBA and the absolute pass that Victor Wembanyama is receiving right now because of the De'Aaron Fox play. No one's even mentioned, by the way, he bricked 2 free throws with a minute 45.
Right.
Some people are built for that moment and some aren't. Quoting himself after they beat Oklahoma City in the NBA Cup way back in December. And for the first time, I think he saw a little bit, not fear, but a little bit of nervousness on his face when he went to the line. Unsure. I mean, he's been so confident, so arrogant in a lot of ways.
Well, it made me think, there it is. MSG got him.
I just think the moment. Yeah,
right. But think about, it's one thing having that moment in a regular season game in Sacramento, and it's another thing having it in the NBA Finals in Gotham, in MSG, in Madison Square Garden. So that's where I thought, there it is. That's. I mean, it's not like it's permanent, but it's like you were wondering at what point does something like that get into his psyche of, oh man, this is a huge stage. I got to make these 2 free throws here to seal this game. Spike Lee's watching me.
Well, and, I mean, think about the end game situations for him in these finals. The Spurs blow a 14-point lead in the second half in Game 1. He throws it off of Castle's back in Game 2, and then not only that, compounds that error by fouling Brunson in a tie game with under 10 seconds left.
Right.
And then last night, missing those 2 free throws. I think he was, 2 for 7 in the fourth quarter, 1 for 4 from the line when he's been making every free throw. And he's going to get a pass because of, Fox's play was dumb. There is no doubt about that. A lot of talk about right after that with the Jose Alvarado backcourt, no backcourt. That clearly wasn't, because you got to have ball and body. The ball never went across the half line.
I think he knew what he was doing the way he kind of leaned and stayed there with the ball.
And be honest with you, De'Aaron Fox fouled him before the timeout was called. So he almost compounded one of the dumber plays in NBA Finals history with even a dumber one by fouling him, but he didn't. They didn't call it because the timeout was issued. A crazy stat between these two teams. They played 7 times now, 4 in the finals, 3 in the regular season, including the Cup game. San Antonio is 1-5 when they've led by double digits, 10 or more. They're 1-0 when they haven't had a 10-point lead. So that is unbelievable. But it's also the sign of youth.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go.
And it's kind of I'm not sure, and youth is probably part of it. And, Fox has done a great job. We even talked about it in the Thunder series. When he came back for Game 3, the turnovers were cut way down because Castle wouldn't have to try to be the point guard. And he's kind of settled things for the Spurs in a lot of ways. And at the same time, how are they not playing Dylan Harper more?
Yeah, you haven't heard his name very much.
He was 8 of 12 last night for 21 points, but it seems like Mitch Johnson clearly trusts De'Aaron Fox more at the end of these games when you've got, to me, a budding star as a 20-year-old rookie. I almost feel better with him out there than Fox. But a lot of mistakes. Everybody's calling it the dumbest half of basketball they've ever seen out of San Antonio. And a lot of that is very, very, very true. But I also think the Knicks aren't going to get the credit that they deserve for being able to take advantage of the stupidity
they still
on
make
San Antonio's
shots.
side.
They still got they That was their best quarter, was the fourth quarter in that comeback effort. And you still have to make shots, and they're still hitting big shots in that quarter alone.
Anunoby,
So, yeah, they deserve all the credit.
Anunoby was unbelievable again. 7 of 9 from 3, 10 of 15 for 33. Obviously, the tip-in is going to go down as one of those moments in NBA Finals history, especially if the Knicks close this thing out. Just one of those iconic moments. But and that's talking about Harper. He's the one that just flat out didn't block him out. I mean, Anunoby threw the ball in and ran straight to the front of the rim, and nobody touched him.
Was it dumb on San Antonio's part to have Wemby out guarding
1,000,000%?
And how smart of it was of the Knicks knowing that and I thought when he took that shot, immediately when he took it, what are you doing? But then I realized, he's guarded by Wemby. There's nobody down there to rebound. Nobody like Wemby down there to rebound. Right. It made total sense.
Time on the clock, in case you miss it for a tip, and even if San Antonio gets the rebound, time to foul and be able to have a chance to maybe tie it up with a miracle 3. And, Brunson missed some. He made some. 12 of 25 for 36 points. I mean, that probably it is the best game that he's had in these NBA Finals. But it was just one of those, and give the juice from MSG a lot of credit in that atmosphere and the way it started. We talked about yesterday how when the Knicks were on that run in Game 3, halftime happened.
Yeah.
There wasn't a halftime to kind of save the Spurs as the ball got rolling downhill. They just could not stop it from running them over. And eventually it took everything. It took clear to 1.2 seconds left when the tip-in happened. But they did figure out a way. And the crazy part about the end of game situation there with 5 seconds left or what have you, even after all that went wrong for San Antonio, Karl Anthony Towns' ring finger on his right hand saved the Knicks from giving up a dunk to win the game. What a play Mitch Johnson drew up there from the sideline. Castle was going to catch it and dunk it. Mm-hmm. He was wide open underneath the basket as he cut, and Towns tipped it. Here's what would have been. I'd love to know the rules here, because if you noticed, the clock didn't start when he tipped that inbounds pass.
Oh wow!
So what if Castle scores? Do they have to review it and kind of take the time? That would have just been another layer of an all-timer of a game.
I love. Do you ever do the thing where you go and you see the win percentage, the chance of 99? The highest it was for the Spurs, I think I found it, 99.6% chance of winning with 9:40 left in the third. And it went up again. It stayed at 99. It got no higher than 99.6%. Even with 9:33 left to go in the fourth, when it was 95-75. This has to be, it definitely is, in the NBA, the greatest comeback in postseason history. And it's up there, Mount Rushmore style, of major sports. Up there with when New England came back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 28-3 New England, Atlanta was being brought up a lot.
Yeah,
as far as the comparison goes.
That one, I'm trying to think like individual games. I had to kind of Google this up, but I kept getting like series, like when Red Sox came back to beat the Yankees in 2004, or when Cleveland came back to beat Golden State in 2016 as a series. But as an individual game, like those two continue to come to mind.
There was a giant Clippers comeback. I think we even talked about it against Memphis back in like the Grindhouse days of Memphis with Randolph and all them. And it was very similar to this.
But it wasn't in a finals.
No. It was like the first round.
Yeah. See, that's why it's so big. We're talking about a Super Bowl. We're talking about in the finals. The only thing bigger would be like if it was Game 7.
Oh, yeah.
But this is going to go up there, and it'll be talked about for years to come.
Boston had a giant comeback in maybe a second round or even conference finals, came down from like 25 or so down to win a game, a playoff game. But no. I don't. This is going to stand alone in the NBA for a single game, and not in It was wild because sometimes teams are pretty far ahead, and you're like, well, this can happen or that can happen, and all of a sudden things kind of tighten up, and then there was, until it happened, I don't know how much hope there was for the Knicks. I mean, San Antonio, and yeah, they were making everything, and that's part of maybe where they got themselves in trouble. Mm-hmm. Guys that aren't great three-point shooters were making them. Vassell, 5 for 8. That doesn't happen very often, but boy, he couldn't miss in the first half. And neither could any of the rest of them. But who's the luckiest man on the face of the earth?
Who's that?
Josh Hart. In back-to-back possessions, Josh Hart steals it, Knicks up 1, goes down, and just he couldn't decide if he's going to dunk it or lay it in, and he did neither. Just bricked the layup.
Yeah.
And then a guy that is known for being as fundamentally sound of a player as there is, the next trip down, he doesn't block out Castle. He always blocks somebody out. He doesn't block out Castle. Castle sneaks down the baseline, gets the rebound, and then he fouls him. And to Castle's credit, he knocked down both free throws to give the Spurs the lead back before the Fox play. He owes OG Anunoby a Peter Luger steak last night or something along those lines for kind of pulling him out of where De'Aaron Fox is right now in the discussion of kind of who blew the game.
OG is never going to – they said this morning. He's never going to have to pay for a meal in New York City ever again. I mean, especially if they close this thing out, which is now up to – I looked this number up. With that win last night, it's over 90% chance they are to win this thing.
Well –
now, not 90% chance to win Game 5, but to win the series as a whole.
Well, this is
with that win last night.
This is the 39th time that a team has taken a 3-1 lead in the finals. Of the previous 38, how many times did somebody come back from 3-1?
I don't know, 4 or 5.
One. Just the Cavs.
Okay, just the Cavs.
The Cavs are the only team to ever come back from down 3-1 in the NBA Finals and come back and win the series. So yeah, what's one out of 38? That's well into the 90%. And that's what the Spurs are facing now. What is if you're the Spurs? And I get it. Last night was devastation. What is your mindset? I guess my question is the season or is this series over?
Well, I just told you statistics will tell you yes. Their mindset is just extend this thing. Try to extend it, get a win at home. Put the pressure on the Knicks to win it at home in front of their home fans. Something like that. But their heads have to be swirling I'm sure they woke up this morning thinking, how did that happen? How did we let that slip away? A huge lead like that. How did we mess that up? So I'm sure that's what they're thinking in the immediate. But, they're professionals. But you know what I think they need out of seeing last night and the boneheaded stuff that they did down the stretch and then, how to react to it afterward. They need a vet on that team. Now, I know they have guys like Mason Plumlee. I mean a guy that could probably still play a little, that's been in these situations.
See, that's the problem with Fox, is he is a vet.
Yeah, well.
He just hasn't necessarily been – he's been in Sacramento, and he hasn't necessarily been in these battles.
No, yeah. That's why, I immediately, when I say that, I always go to when Presti went and got Perk.
How about this? They had Chris Paul.
Yeah. He would have been perfect.
Now, I get it. Chris Paul can't play anymore.
No, he's not going to contribute but he would be a very good locker room presence and very calming voice in the huddle and during timeouts. He would have been perfect.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that happens if Chris Paul's on the floor or on the team.
Not just on the team. Yeah. Depending on how this thing shakes out, which, again, probabilities would tell you that Knicks are going to win this thing. The big question in Oklahoma City is what do the Thunder do personnel-wise? And then, if the Spurs lose this thing, what do they need? What's the missing piece they need? Maybe they just needed this experience, but maybe they do need somebody that's like, hey, I've been here. This is how it's done. This is how we do it. You can have a unicorn and all that stuff, but look where it got you. This is how we handle it. So I'd be interested to see what happens in San Antonio if they lose this thing.
Yeah, they can do a lot of different things.
And I say all that because what do we always say? They're kind of like the cousins to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's like how they've been built have been very, very, very similar. So you just think, well, that might be that what they need is what the Thunder have done in the past. Do we consider someone like Alex Caruso kind of a veteran guy?
Oh, 100%.
So, I think, if it was Alex Caruso with that breakaway, he'd definitely pull it out and go to the corner or something and wait to get fouled. Maybe that's what San Antonio's missing.
Well, of course, in the aftermath, now you're starting to see shots of that layup, and it looks like, in real time, it looked like OG absolutely blocked that shot, and now you're seeing, you never know if it's real AI, but it does look like he fouled it. It's just, it just happened so fast. I think it's interesting because Draymond Green said something last night in the post game that he said losses like this could be like franchise history altering losses. In
a good or bad way?
In a bad way. Like, you never get over the hump of that because all of a sudden it's 2-2 back home if you close that out. And now it's how many is San Antonio? They're going to win this one. So how many more with Wemby? And, what does that do to the psyche of that young team if this ends up going the Knicks' way?
Yeah. Now that's interesting. I keep going to the side of if they lose this thing, that might be worst case scenario for everybody not named the Spurs because they've gone through it. They've been through a finals. They don't want that to happen again to lose. But I see what he's saying. It could be like a curse type thing. They'll call it the curse of the MSG or the curse of Game 4 or something like that.
I thought something that Mike Brown did last night, and it might have been out of necessity because of how far they were behind, and he may have unlocked something. We talked about how in Game 3, Mitch Johnson switched Wemby off of Cat onto Josh Hart, and then he was allowed to kind of roam, like we saw against the Thunder a lot. Mm-hmm. Last night, for the first time in sustained minutes, Mike Brown put Alvarado and Brunson on the floor together with multiple ball handlers. What was the whole thing about not having Dub and AJ in the last series? You only got one guy to handle the ball, where the Knicks just had Brunson. And what was happening? Brunson was facing 94 feet of pressure every time down the floor. Now, with Alvarado in the game, that wasn't happening. And I think that definitely helped Brunson in that second half to have more energy, to not just be the slog of a game that it was in Game 3 and the first half of Game 4. I mean, he was constantly being harassed all the way up and down the floor with the ball with the ball in his hands. Now you get another ball handler on the floor in Alvarado, who was sensational all night long. That freed up a little bit for Brunson to kind of be able to play off the ball a little bit and then have more juice down the stretch and have more energy, more legs down the stretch than he would have if he'd have had to been the sole offensive initiator, the sole ball handler on the floor all night long for the Knicks. So that's something to probably look forward to more of in Game 5. And I think Mike Brown, he's for as much flack as he always got as LeBron's coach and how he didn't do this and didn't do that. In this playoff run, I think that you can give Mike Brown a lot of credit for a couple of things. One, back in the Atlanta series, running things through Cat. And two, that move last night was just fantastic. You know, if you'd have told me going into that game last night, Karl Anthony Towns would shoot 5 times, I would have told you the Spurs blew him out like they were.
Like they were, yeah.
But OG Anunoby, I mean, Brunson's gun, it's sort of the, and it almost feels like we're going to jinx it, like sort of like we did the Thunder. But through these 4 games, I don't think there's any doubt that OG Anunoby is the MVP of this series. Now, whether or not they'll vote it that way remains to be seen. But that guy has, you know, he was on the Raptors team that won the title, but he wasn't on the Raptors in the finals because he had an appendectomy and he missed the playoffs. So people haven't seen him necessarily on the biggest stage, unfortunately for him, because of that injury. And now they're getting to see just how good that guy is. And he has been great. The exact type of guy that you have to have against them.
Yeah.
He's big and strong. He can switch on to Wemby and at least cause him some problems. Then offensively, he's been marvelous throughout this series and came up with one of the biggest plays in the history of the NBA Finals last night with, you know, the chase down and then the tip in. I'm glad in a lot, not just because, even if the Spurs would have won that game at the very end, through the first half, all the talk was about the officiating. You know, he had the overturn call with a minute into the game and Karl Anthony Towns picks up 2 fouls in a minute.
Right. So
that was obvious. The banter started then. Then the back-to-back plays where Luke Cornett, I still don't know how that wasn't a goal.
They think it was a lob.
I guess so, but it was right in the front of the rim. I mean, and you watch the replay. Alvarado was looking dead at the rim. He's not even looking at Mitchell Robinson. I mean, he's shooting it. And then the very next play down the floor, Wemby misses and dunks it in right above the cylinder. And just some different things there. And people were, you know, online with the conspiracy theory and all that, and that sort of died down with the comeback and everything that happened. But man, it was wild, absolutely wild, and out of nowhere, because the Spurs looked like they had figured the Knicks out, and it was like, they're going to win 4 in a row.
Yeah.
This thing's going to be over in Game 6 in MSG with the Spurs holding up their 6th title. And somehow, some way, it's not going to be that.
You know, going back to your previous question about what the Spurs are thinking, and I went the route of they could be dumbfounded and depressed or even and upset with how they act or how that came out, but maybe they could be, you know what, guys? We were up 29 at one point, and we blew it. So let's learn from that, and we'll be fine.
It's what Mitch Johnson said at the end. Give them all the credit for making this crazy comeback, but all 4 games have been decided by us.
By mistakes. Yeah.
We either closed it or it's our fault, you know.
Right.
And I think that's true in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That
they just kind of melted down in a few of those games in those in clutch time.
Right.
And we're finally seeing it. What a lot of people thought throughout this playoff run would happen. It looks like they're just going to get the scar tissue in the finals. But I don't think it's over yet.
Think this goes the distance?
I don't know.
Everyone keeps saying Knicks in 6. So you think they'll...
I don't know.
We'll talk more about that
Yeah, we'll be back
tomorrow.
If you're hungry in Elk City, there's one place people keep coming back to. Boomtown Grill. Plenty of TVs, a great bar, and a dining room where the food is the real star. Boomtown's kitchen turns out hand-cut choice Angus steaks, burgers ground in-house every single day, and Boomtown's handcrafted pizza that just might be your new favorite in town. Tuesday night, enjoy chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes, peppered gravy, and a roll for just $4.99. Thursday wings are only 50 cents. Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main in Elk City. Come hungry.
The Skinny on Sports.
It's in the holes.
Welcome back on this Boomtown Grill Thursday. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the sports animal, hanging out the aftermath of the largest comeback in the history of the NBA Finals last night with the Knicks 107-106 over the Spurs, taking a 3-1 lead, looking for the first championship since 1973. Hey, it's World Cup Day. What a great day if you're a World Cup watcher. Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main. 50-cent boneless chicken wing day at the Boomtown Grill. You've got happy hour 2 to 6, so the Mexico-South Africa game starts at 2. Rolls right on to either another game in the World Cup or the Stanley Cup Finals Game 5. Boomtown Grill.
It's cool.
50-cent boneless chicken wings, happy hour 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. Your sports watching headquarters. No doubt about it here in Elk City. Lots of talk this week, Jared, about Brendan Sorsby, quarterback at Tech, that was basically ruled ineligible by the NCAA because of gambling. Then an injunction was filed out in a court in Texas, allowing him to play, at least for right now. We haven't really gotten your thoughts on the aftermath that came out during the show, Thursday or Monday? Maybe it was Monday.
Monday. It was.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
And so kind of give us, as you've seen, kind of the banter back and forth and everything that's happened. Give us your thoughts.
Well, like I said, I kind of hinted at it yesterday. The vitriol towards Texas Tech as a whole, I think it's compounded with the fact of what they've been doing. They've everybody's jealous of the house that has the best Christmas lights because they had more money to spend on them. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing a little bit with the reaction nationally of the have and have-nots. And Texas Tech has a major booster, major donor. They're taking advantage of the NIL situation, and some people don't like that. Like, going to get Canada, they saw, it's like it kind of goes against America. If I'm being real honest, of working hard for what you get, whereas you see something you want and you just go have daddy buy it for you, and that's so. When this has come up in the gambling thing and on all of that, and then having a Red Raider judge make this ruling to allow him to play at some point this season, although I guess it was he will not play the first couple games, which I don't even know who they play. I'm sure it's nobody, but I think it just screams that we need reform, and they're working on that in the Capitol in DC. I just don't know what the answer is as far as you said you've hinted you got an idea, but I think it just screams like there needs to be some more control and reform of college athletics as a whole, because right now it's just out of control. Yes, we want to point fingers and just completely blame Texas Tech for all of this, but they not really doing anything wrong as far as NIL and transfer portal and obtaining players. The ethical thing of playing Sorsby is where I kind of have an issue of, you're playing this guy. He admittedly has a gambling addiction and betting on his own team while at Indiana and all of that. That's where I kind of like, where's the ethics of it? And ethics be damned. If we're going to win games, we're going to win games. And that's kind of what I think Texas Tech's approach is. Like, and you can't stop us because we're not breaking rules, and the judge says he can play and putting that injunction in and all of that. I do wonder if does it have a lot of momentum of schools actually saying, well, we're just not going to schedule Texas Tech anymore in anything? Or is that just clout? Is that just saying something to say something? Like, Big Ten kind of teased it. I didn't hear of anything that came out of the conference call with the athletic directors of the Big 12.
Ooh.
Or they at a point of like, we want to boot them.
Yeah.
And where's that? Well, then what? Like, are they just going to be independent? But if they go like, what conference would take them in? And then what? And then if they do go, I was thinking like, okay, I was doing like algorithm. Okay, if this happens, then this happened. If this happened, then this happened. So if they do get booted by the Big 12 or sanctioned or reprimanded or whatever, and nobody plays them, they go independent. Would anybody want to play them? Because there's this momentum of, no, we just don't play them. If they're not going to, we're just not going to play them as long as that individual's on that campus. I don't know. It's crazy. That's a whole different thing, but I wholeheartedly agree that Sorsby should not be playing this season.
Yeah, it's trying to compare it to different things that have happened.
That's the hard thing because people want to go to Pete Rose. I'm like, well, that's totally different because he was a pro skipper at the time, and it's hard to find something to compare it to. But there have been some comparisons, like, Rhett Bomar did that, and he got kicked off the team. So, Bob Stoops was ethical, and these are all Sooner fans saying that.
Sure. Yeah, and that, of course, the Mixon thing has been brought up. I think those are apples and oranges.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, what he did in life is worse than what Brendan Sorsby did in life, but we're not talking about it life. We're talking about on the college football field, and Sorsby committed the mortal sin of any sporting event because, and people are justified, I believe, in saying this, like, if you let him play, how can we trust anything that's happening on the field? What if he throws for 69 yards against somebody like he did against Nebraska last year in the first game? The very first thing you're going to say is, well, he had the under, or
check his DraftKings account or whatever.
That's the problem with this, because it takes away from the legitimacy of what you're watching.
Yeah, and that was the Pete Rose thing.
That's why I think that's a decent.
He put that pitcher in because he needed to lose that game, or
which supposedly you always bet on them to win, but
sure,
we don't know that for sure.
Right, it always brings in the doubt.
It does, and that's the last thing that you want. That's why this is kind of singular. You can't really compare it. I mean, as bad as what Mixon did, and maybe he should or shouldn't have played for OU ever again. When he did play for Oklahoma, you weren't wondering if he was making the game fake.
Right.
And that's where this stands alone. And we've seen point-shaving scandals come out later. And it's the same idea, but the difference is you weren't watching the game with those suspicions. It was way after the fact. Mm-hmm. With what he's basically been proven to have happened, every game he plays, that's what you're going to think. Oh, he missed that 3rd and 6th throw. What is he? It's always going to be doubt swirling in your mind to whether or not what you're watching is real. And that's the beauty, of sports, beauty of what happened last night. You're watching it, and you're believing everything that's happening, and when you start gambling on your own games, not only your own sport but your own games, that's where that is obviously going to be called into question. I texted this to Jim yesterday, and they kind of talked about it a little bit. When you say, okay, who can do what? Well, the very first thing can be that Texas Tech supports him. They're talking about how his mental health and having an addiction to gambling.
Which I totally respect.
I do too.
I'm not.
And continue.
People kind of laugh at that because gambling. Just stop gambling. Well, tell an alcoholic just to stop drinking.
Right.
It's a thing. It's a chemical thing.
It's a true actual thing.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Support him, but don't play him. Do everything in your power to help him out and to keep his mental health stable and get him the help that he needs and get him through this addiction, but just don't play him. That doesn't seem to be the course of action that Tech is going to take.
Oh, not at all.
So
they're doing the first part, and that's what Pocut was saying yesterday in that statement. It's like, we're going to support this kid 100%, but
and that's great.
He's playing, yeah.
But it does appear like in the idea is to get him better for the season. I mean, that's just sort of the way it feels. If he had came out yesterday and said the same things that he said and then it ended at, oh, by the way, he's not going to play for us, I think people would have a round of applause and, hey, you're actually trying to help a student athlete here.
Right.
Or quit calling it student athlete.
And the integrity of the sport.
That's right. But that certainly doesn't appear the course of action they're taking. And so then who can do something about it? I looked up, and you never know with the AI, but I looked up how to change a bylaw or how to make a bylaw in the Big 12 Conference. And it takes 12 out of 16 members to agree, and that could change it. So what if they had a meeting and they put something in the bylaws of anybody that has been verified to have bet on a college football game is ineligible to play in the Big 12. Tram said, well, that's kind of retroactive. Well, to me, it's not, because he hasn't played yet. He hasn't played in the Big 12. He hasn't played for Texas Tech.
Right.
And I'm sure that would really fire up the courtroom, and that'll be another thing that by the time it's all said and done, just like it looks like it is now, that wouldn't be heard until after the season anyway, and that doesn't necessarily stop what's happening here, but maybe it could stop anything in the future. I don't think there's any way in the world they kick out Texas Tech, because something Trammell did say, and I agree with it 100%, if you want to take a different look at it. In a lot of ways, this is great for the Big 12.
Oh, everyone's going to watch a Texas Tech game.
Absolutely. Fox, the Big 12.
Yeah, everybody's going to want to watch, see.
You want to take that
who's
approach to it.
headhunting Sorsby today. Yeah.
He's playing, and Hunter Deckers, question on the text line, wasn't there a guy from Iowa State? There was a bunch of guys, but most notably Hunter Deckers, the quarterback, that bet way less amount of money. But
a bet's a bet.
and not, well, that's supposedly.
Yeah.
It was for him.
Yeah.
And he never played again.
Right. Now, was that by the decision of Iowa State?
Well, NCAA, they just didn't sue. I mean, that's the crazy. That's where the NCAA, in just that short amount of time, what was that, 3 or 4 years ago? Mm-hmm. In just that short amount of time, the landscape has changed so much to where if institutions or teams or whatever don't like a decision that the NCAA made, they just start suing them. And the NCAA, because they were asleep at the wheel way back when the O'Bannon thing was finalized by the Supreme Court, they kind of dug this hole for themselves by not stopping it right there, figuring out a path forward for all of this. And since that case, can you name one they've won? And if they, I mean,
I'm sure there's one, but not
many
high profile as.
It just feels like every time they go to court, they lose.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's, Tech in the statement said, we're not the ones doing this. It's him and his lawyers. Come on. I mean, yeah, you're not on the line of the paperwork or whatever, but you're also not Anyway, and then you got Cody Campbell out there. I mean, did you ever think you'd see the day when a booster was not only running the conference, and now up there on cap? I mean, trying to run the whole sport in a lot of ways. And oh, by the way, the way that it seems like it would certainly benefit Tech.
Of course,
in those, and that's
what he's doing.
That's just kind of where that's at. So, I think at the end of the day, the only way that people will be satisfied is if Tech is the one to come out and just say, "We're helping him. He's not playing."
Right.
And I don't know.
But the difference between what Iowa State or NCAA or whatever, Iowa State didn't fight it. What was Deckers, and Sorsby is maybe Sorsby's a better quarterback, and he's going to help him win games. And that's a sad reality.
That's what it's become.
It's all about winning, and Tech they've dug in. They're saying we want to win games, and we're going to play this kid no matter what. And I don't care how you feel about it.
It certainly seems the way this is going, and it doesn't feel like. With the landscape that we are at now, with the ability to just sue and get your way, it sure feels like to me that this is going to be tied up long enough in court to where, A, nobody's going to care when the ruling actually comes down, which means B, we're going to play.
Yeah.
And it's nationwide. I mean, this is just because it's gambling, because it was the last forbidden sin. And I think a lot of you kind of hinted at this yesterday and said it a little bit ago. And with the vitriol that people have regarding the way Tech has used the NIL, and obviously with Cody Campbell's double legal money, all of this is kind of the perfect storm to where you see the entirety of college athletics agreeing on something, which never happens. Ever.
In pro wrestling terms, Texas Tech is the heel, and they love it. And I think everybody loves to hate him right now. I never thought I'd say this. If a Texas Tech-Texas game actually happened, I'd be rooting for the Longhorns.
I did it in softball.
And everybody, and like you said, every game is going to be watched because everybody wants to see them lose. It's the same reason a lot of people watch Golden State in their heyday. They want to see Draymond Green lose, et cetera, et cetera. So
if you're Texas, don't you take that game now?
Oh, yeah.
Because Sorsby can't play.
That's not first two games. Apparently, he can't play.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely take on that game. Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. Jared's got to go do Tradio.
I got to go do Tradio.
Come back, wrap it up on this Boomtown Grill Thursday. Thank you to Daryl and all the gang at Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main, right here in Elk City. 50-cent boneless chicken wing day today. I'll be back to wrap it up. Skinny on Sports on the Sports Animal.
If you're hungry in Elk City, there's one place people keep coming back to. Boomtown Grill. Plenty of TVs, a great bar, and a dining room where the food is the real star. Boomtown's kitchen turns out hand-cut choice Angus steaks, burgers ground in-house every single day, and Boomtown's handcrafted pizza that just might be your new favorite in town. Tuesday night, enjoy chicken fried steak with mashed potatoes, peppered gravy, and a roll for just $4.99. Thursday wings are only 50 cents. Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main in Elk City. Come hungry.
The Skinny on Sports.
You can't say on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
Welcome back here, Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM. Excuse me, the Sports Animal. Wrapping up a Boomtown Grill Thursday. 50-cent boneless chicken wing day at the Boomtown Grill, 2103 South Main. Happy hour 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. Great spot to watch World Cup, Stanley Cup Finals. Today, obviously, all the different sports that are going on. Boomtown Grill is the spot. Also, think of G&E Elite Exteriors. Whether it's your home business or middle-of-the-night roofing emergency, G&E Elite Exteriors has you covered. From TPO and metal roofing to classic shingles, they handle residential and commercial projects with expert craftsmanship, fully licensed, insured, and ready to go 24/7. Call Adrian Jackson at G&E Elite Exteriors today, 405-549-5854 or GEEliteexteriors.com. Got the World Cup starting at 2 o'clock, Mexico and South Africa. And then, of course, tonight, 7 o'clock, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I continue, and I will continue, and urge you, go watch that. It is fascinating theater. As good as last night's game was, and it was it was that. We've gotten about that intensity in every game of these Stanley Cup Finals. All 3 of the first 4 decided by 1 goal. Game 4 wasn't because of an empty netter with 50 seconds left. And hopefully we get a Game 7 there. It doesn't look like we're going to get that in the NBA Finals, but I still wouldn't be too sure. I think it's an interesting dynamic for the Spurs and what they're thinking after how crushing that loss was last night. Do you dwell on that, or do you kind of look back at these 4 games and go, you know what? We've been ahead double digits in every single one of them. We have controlled the action in 80 to 85% of these games so far. How in the world have we lost 3 of them? If we can just take care of business down the stretch, we can come back and be the second team of all time to overcome a 3-1 series deficit. With what happened last night, it's going to be hard to kind of refocus, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility just because of how well the Spurs have played throughout most of this series. Just mental lapses down the stretch, youth down the stretch, and maybe that's going to be the overarching theme of the series when you look back on it and you go, man, the Spurs controlled a lot of the action throughout the 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be if they lose. But boy, they just couldn't figure out a way to close it, and that's what's going to haunt them over the summer and probably motivate them for next year to get back into that position and be able to close it if they're not able to come back from 3-1 down this year against the Knicks. But lost in all the Spurs talk, I think we still have to give the Knicks tons of credit for when the door opened, they ran right through it and were able to make the plays that they had to make. And OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, huge parts of all of that with the way they came back and were able to win that game. But it was shocking. Just with when it's 81-52, you're not even really considering the Knicks winning that game with the way the game had been played, the way it was flowing. And then in the blink of an eye, here the Knicks come. And to only allow 30 points in the second half after giving up 76 in the first half, yeah, some of that's the Spurs taking ill-advised early shots from behind the arc. But some of that also is the Knicks being able to defend them a little bit better and then obviously get their offense rolling, knocking down 15 of 32 from 3 over the course of the game. And, man, what a comeback. And now the Knicks, 1 game away from winning their first title since 1973. They'll have the shot, first of possibly 3 shots on Saturday night down in San Antonio for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Yeah, Scott should be here. We're not going to be able to watch soccer that early, but U.S. plays tomorrow. We'll have to ask him what he's going to do for the U.S. and Paraguay tomorrow night. Thank you again to the Boomtown Grill. Every Thursday is a Boomtown Thursday. Go check out their hand-cut, hand-breaded, 50-cent boneless chicken wings today at the Boomtown Grill. We'll be back tomorrow. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.